my screen says you are now live. I can't see what's going on, but we're hoping that you can hear me. I'm going to try and move this screen away so I can just talk to you. Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me. So whether you're here live tonight or watching this back later, I'm really grateful that you are here, really grateful. Tonight I do want to begin with the same question that I put it on, inviting you on the live, and is that one question about what are you waiting for your life to begin. Please, I will try and monitor this on my phone as well, so if you've got any questions or you're coming on live with me, please do say hi, but I will just get on with it. So are you waiting for your life to begin? Are you waiting until the children are older, or until there is more money, or until the mortgage is paid, or until the business becomes more successful, until work feels less demanding or less stressful, let's put it this way, or until everybody else is settled in the family, or until you have finally feel confident or certain or ready to start that next chapter. And then perhaps, trying to see on my phone if people can hear me, or and then perhaps you will finally allow yourself to begin living the life you actually want. Looks like it's working. You finally feel confident or certain or ready. So tonight I am going to share my personal journey and realization that changed the direction of my own life, and I'm not only going to tell you my story, but I am also going to take you through these 4 stage points, like a little framework that I have been using to question and redesign my own life. These 4 stages are, and it'll be good if if you want to take a piece of paper, just write them down, or in your notes in your phone, or you can always save this video and revisit. See the default, reclaim yourself, redesign the everyday, and choose the future. And we will go into more detail with each one during the video. So at every stage I'm going to give you one question to work through for yourself. So as I said before, to grab a notebook if you're like me with papers and pens, or open the notes on your phone, or just simply listen and see what comes up for you in this conversation. Because by the end of this live, I would have liked you to identify a little part of your life you may be living by default, or what you generally want instead, like just question that. What in your everyday life may be keeping or maybe showing up the old version of you? And just one courageous action that you can take within the next 72 hours. This is not a big conversation. This is movement. So what I just want to say, and I've noticed it myself, is like, you do not need to be in a crisis for this conversation to be relevant. Your life may look perfectly from the outside. Excuse me. You may be functioning okay. You may be achieving everything that you've set yourself to achieve. You may be coping okay. It's a word that we all know what it means. You may be the woman everybody else relies upon, the strong one, but perhaps, just perhaps, somewhere underneath it all, you have become incredibly good at managing a life that no longer completely feels like yours. And that is exactly where I found myself, and the, that is kind of where my story begins and why I'm starting today. I'm going to take a bit of a breather just to see the live. Do you say hi if you did come on? So yeah, I was just checking on with me, this being the first live, I'm kind of trying to get an understanding of how things work, and if the sound and everything's okay, but it looks all right. So anyway, so I realized very recently that I've spent many parts of my life, really waiting for my real life to begin, like always waiting for the next thing. And I wasn't, so it's not like I was sitting around doing nothing while I waited. Quite the opposite. You know, I'm an overachiever. I was working really hard, building the career that I wanted and the business that I wanted, leading the teams the way they needed to be led. You know, cooking and trying to keep my family really healthy and engaged, raising my children to the best of my ability, solving problems, creating businesses and helping others, mentoring others to open their own businesses, holding everything together every day. My days were incredibly full. But somewhere, believe it or not, somewhere in the back of my mind, there was almost like another life, a life that had more freedom, where there was more traveling, more presence with my children, more space to think, think and create, bring that part out and breathe slow. A life maybe where my husband and I work together in a way that genuinely suited our family. You know, not what we thought we needed, but like genuinely suited our family. Not simply following the roles and the rules that we thought adults were supposed to follow. A life maybe where we weren't constantly working towards leaving for one day, but we were actually leaving today. I kept believing that life would begin like later. That there was always later in my conversation. When I opened the business, when it became more successful, when we made more money, when we paid our mortgage. I mean, it's, you know, the list is endless. When the children were older, when we solved the next big thing, or when we didn't have so much responsibility, when I finally completed whatever it was on my very important things to complete. But the strange thing is, and you probably relate with this quite a lot, being a capable woman is that there is always, and I mean always, something else you are capable of carrying. And that was like one of my first biggest realizations, that there was always something else capable, that I was always able to carry something else. There was always another problem that I could solve. There was always another responsibility that I could take on, or almost I needed that. There was always another person that I could help. There was always another goal that I could reach before allowing myself to just chill. And because I can carry it and you can carry it, people just assume that you should. And because of that assumption, this becomes a normal thing. It becomes part of the norm. Eventually, you begin assuming it too. For years, I was really proud of being that woman that could make things happen, really proud. And I'm still so proud of her. I could walk into chaos and somehow see what needed doing, like straighten things out. I could organize people and meetings. I could build systems, make really tough decisions at the table, take an idea and help somebody turn it into something real. I spent years in leadership. Then I built a food business from our home. I worked incredibly hard. I proved to myself that I could create something from very, very little all the time. And there is so much. I mean, just coming into UK, 20 something years ago with very little, and just constantly since then has been a proof to myself that I could create something for little. And but then there's the next thing, then there's the next thing, then there's the next thing. And there is so much from this journey that I will always be grateful for. But somewhere along the way, I have become really, really good at managing life that no longer completely felt like mine. This was one of the biggest things and one of the most difficult things to admit to myself. And to be fair, it took me ages, months and years to really, to start questioning certain things or really understand what was happening to me. Because and this is, you might relate with this very much, because really nothing had dramatically fallen apart for me. There wasn't this big crisis that happened to me that made me look at things differently. There was never a huge issue that happened to me where I could pinpoint and say, that is the reason, that is the moment where I needed that. I realized that something needs to change. My life worked, my business worked, my family worked, I worked, and perhaps that was kind of the part of the problem. I became so good at making everything work that I had stopped asking whether it was still the life that I consciously wanted. Because let's be honest, we are not really taught anywhere in our lives to ask good questions, to ask things for our heart. We are only asked to create tangible goals and move on to the next one and the next one and the next one. We're never asked to stop and really ask meaningful questions. Sorry, my mouth was so dry. There's a real difference between creating a life and continuously maintaining one because one chose it. There is a big difference between being grateful for what a part of your life was and believing that you must remain inside the same chapter forever. And there is definitely a big difference between giving up and recognizing that you have grown. Recognizing that you have grown is not a sign for giving up. So at this moment in my life, I started asking myself questions I could no longer ignore, and they were coming rapid. Like, who am I when I am not the person holding everything together? Like, I identify myself through people and through relationships that I built and through work that I did. Who am I when I'm not solving a problem? Do I still want the life I'm working so hard to maintain? Is this what I want? What kind of family are we genuinely trying to create? With the kids and my husband. What do I want my children to remember about these years that we spent together? Do I want them to grow up knowing that life was happening all along while we were so stressed trying to figure out what we're doing? And the more honest I became, it's about really being honest with yourself. The more I realized that I didn't simply want another business. Like, I don't want to live one exhausting life and create a shiny version of exactly the same thing. And that is what I realized as I was building my business, my main business after I left corporate. I didn't want to build another business for freedom and then make myself so essential that I had none. And it can easily become that. I didn't want to say that family was my priority, so I didn't want it to go exactly again to the same like a tick box exercise, but not actually live that way. I didn't want to say that my family was a priority while giving my family whatever energy remained after everything else had taken whatever needed from me. I didn't want to talk about traveling and freedom and living differently while continuing to make decisions, and we do, while continuing to make decisions that tie us more tightly to the life that we already have. I want you to understand why we build lives that look successful from the outside but leave us inside constantly wanting for something to begin. And that is when I started questioning the defaults around the work that we do, the way we look at money, motherhood, success, what ambition is, what success is, how it's a general feeling for that, ambition, food, family roles, everything that we are being instilled and guided to believe as true. Home, contribution, what it means, community, and even the idea of what a normal life is supposed to look like. What is a normal life? Who defines it? So that process became the beginning of something that now I call whole life ownership, and this is what I want you to have a look at, and this is where I want to start the conversation with you out there. So this did not begin as a course. It's not a course. It's not nothing like that. It did not begin because I sat down and tried to invest something to create something. This is the process that I kind of realized I went through to live part of my own life, and I'm still living it. I'm still going by the same one. So I'm not standing here pretending that I have all the answers. But I am the first testimonial of this work because I've stopped waiting for permission to begin living differently. And I just want to give everybody, I want to give everybody this framework, because I know there's a lot of us out there that are starting to feel that something is changing, cannot pinpoint, they don't know where they are, they don't know where to go, but they know deep down that, whatever seems normal doesn't feel right anymore, and that's okay. We have not defined the normal. The normal has been created for us. Now it's our time to define what normal looks like, for what success, what we want to do. So it's kind of the 4 stages of this framework goes like this. I think I kind of mentioned them before. So you see the default, reclaim the self, redesign the everyday, and choose your future. And this starts with really small. I would say if you look at this and you do it with me online today, or whenever you look at this video, just work with the same thing, with the first thing that comes to mind. So don't overthink this. Work with the first thing. This is like an ongoing process, something that you can just do it once and it just happens. This is like an ongoing process, and every time you work with one thing that coming to you that you're questioning, then once you work through that, there's another thing and another thing. So for the first conversation today, just work with what's the first thing that probably comes to your mind when we ask those questions and as we go through the points. So let's begin with the first one. So see the default. This is about really recognizing what has been unconsciously shaping your life on autopilot. Most of us believe that we are making our own choices, but many of our decisions are influenced by beliefs, by the roles by the expectations that really became normal so early that really we stopped questioning, we stopped questioning them. Like everything's so normal that we don't question anything, and many of the things that have been happening to us from early, from the beginning of time, you may believe. So these are just some examples that I can give you. Like, you may believe like a good mother should always put herself last, or if I'm capable of carrying something, I should carry it, or my values come from being useful. You don't find your value if you're not useful, or success requires constant hard work, or changing my mind means I have failed. Like if I change or if I pivot, there's a lot of that online. That's for another time. Rest has to be on. You can't rest until after the day's finished and you work really hard. I need everybody else to understand my decision before I'm allowed to make it. Yeah. I should be grateful, stop asking questions, continue, I've got this, I can pull through. And these beliefs do not come, or they don't come to us as defaults. We don't look at them. We just, no one hands you a piece of paper and says, this is the belief that will run your life. They simply, we just call them normal. They simply become normal. So eventually, we build our work, our home, our relationships, routines, identity, all we build around them. So here's the first question I want you to write down and take it with you. And the first thing that comes to mind will be great. But if not, you can sit with that and build this list as much as you can and ongoing. Which part of my life did I consciously choose? And which part did I simply become very good at managing? Which part of my life did I consciously choose, and which part did I simply become very good at managing? So over here you can look at your work, look at your relationship, at your family role, what you bring to the family, at your home, at your finances, at the way you do certain things for your life, at your health, at your time, how you spend your time, how you manage yourself, how you show up for yourself. So where in those you are still living according to a decision made by an earlier version of you, a belief that keeps and is part of that, a belief that kind of takes the decision for you. Perhaps you once chose something because it was right for you at that time. That does not mean that it must remain right forever, and this is the difference. I think what I'm trying to say, you are allowed to be grateful for a part of your life and still recognize that chapter has ended, and now you're kind of on autopilot, and maybe something is shifting. What I'm trying, I think I've said it at the beginning, but do not try to fix everything. We can't fix everything. Just see it, just look at it, put something down, because we cannot consciously change what things that we are still calling normal. So we're going to go to point 2, where's reclaim self. So just think about that first questions. Now we begin seeing the defaults. So the next question will become, who am I underneath all those roles that I perform? Many capable women know exactly what everybody around them needs, and you'll agree with me on this one. You know what the children need. We know what the business needs, what the business needs from us, especially, what the team needs if we have a team, what the household needs, when to do everything's planned, we're in charge of everything, what their partner needs, we need what, we know everybody needs what our parents need, what our friends need. But when somebody asks what they want, so what we want, well, I don't know. I know how to be a mother. I know how to be the wife. I know how to be the leader, the business owner, the organizer, the one that everybody counts on, the strong one, that's a very popular one. The person who solves everything, has all the answers, But those are roles. They are not the whole woman. They're not the whole of me. So I had to ask myself, who am I when I'm not solving the next problem? Who am I when I'm not producing anything, when I'm not running my business, who am I when I'm not proving my value through how much I can carry? And what do I actually want? Not what looks sensible, not what protects the identity that I've built, not what keeps everybody else comfortable. What do I want my ordinary life to feel like? So here is the second question for you. If nobody needed me to remain the same, what would I finally admit that I want? Yeah, so that's for you to write it down, to make a note. So this is the second bit of work. If nobody needed me to remain the same, what would I finally admit that I want? On Substack, I did write an article about the art of becoming nobody, and I think there's a lot of things that are coming through for that one, but that's for another day. But it seems the question seems probably easier than it is. It's actually a very tough question, because if nobody needed me to stay the same, what would I finally admit that I want? So what would you admit about your work, about your home, about your relationship, about your health, about how you look after yourself, about what your family life is like, about the way you spend your time, the place where you live, the dreams that you have, the way you want to contribute? What do you want an ordinary Monday to feel like, rather than dreading that Monday? What do you want that ordinary Monday to feel like? Not only the big dream, but not only that perfect holiday or the distant future. What do you want your actual days to feel like? Reclaiming yourself does not mean abandoning everybody you love or becoming selfish. It just means remembering that you are also a person inside the life that you are managing. Your needs matter, your desires matter, your ideas matter, your future matter. You do not have to answer on every single, to act on every answer immediately. But you need to become honest enough to hear what this answer to this question is telling you. You have got to start being honest with yourself to truly hear what it's trying to tell you. So we're going to go into stage 3, and there's another question on here. So far we've got see the default, we've got reclaim yourself, and there's another question. We're going on stage 3, which is redesign the everyday. So this is the part I truly believe is often missing from personal development. We have the moment when we realize there's something needs doing. We have a vision, we have the idea, we listen to the podcast, or we read the book, or we make loads of notes that we feel inspired, we feel passionate, we decide that everything's going to change. And then Monday morning arrives. Yeah, so we do all this, we join a live video like this, and then Monday morning arrives. The children need getting ready, screaming all over. The bills in the post needs paying. Dinner, what am I going to have for dinner? Dinner still needs making. The home relies on the same person, which is you. The same work that drains all your energy by the end of Monday. The same financial commitments make everyday decision feel impossible. We're going back on, and the whole life quietly recreates itself back into the rhythm. That is why I keep saying a dream, and whatever change we make, it has to survive an ordinary day, an ordinary Tuesday, an ordinary Wednesday. It has to work during the school runs. It has to work when somebody is tired, when you are tired, when the washing needs doing, the dishes need cleaned, the bins need taken out, the kids need putting to bed, the dinner needs making, when the bills arrive, when things go wrong. And when there's no inspiration, on those days when you don't feel particularly inspired. So that is why we can not only work on the inside. What we really have to do is look at the real structure surrounding our lives and the way responsibilities are divided, the way we actually work, the way we earn, the way we use and spend our time, the way we feed and care for ourselves, the emotional atmosphere of our home, the conversations that we keep avoiding and don't have, the tough conversation that we sometimes need to have, the commitments that are consuming our energies, when we just spend time in places that we just don't want to be in. And any sort of system that supports our growth and pulls us back into an old version of ourselves. So here's your third question. Please write it down if you're in this process with me. What in my everyday life is keeping the old version of me in place? So this is under Redesign the Everyday. What in my everyday life is keeping the old version of me in place? My mouth gets really dry when I talk passionately. So perhaps, this could be, is the way responsibilities are divided at home. Perhaps you have made yourself essential to everything. You need to be part of everything. Perhaps your future receives no time, or whatever time is left after everybody else has taken whatever they needed from you. Perhaps you are saying yes too many times, or to things that no longer belong in your life, but you've just on autopilot. Perhaps it's the way you work, but perhaps it's the way you spend your money, the way you eat. This could be anything. The way you eat, the way you rest. You've got to be honest and look at your whole life and ask this question, and start with one question. Maybe it's the boundaries you've not created, the support you haven't asked for, the help, or the tough conversation that you've been avoided. So now ask yourself this. What is one practical structure I could change to support myself in becoming the woman I want to become? Not 10, sorry, 1. Not 10, 1. Perhaps you say you put 2 hours every week for something that matters to you, follow my dream, or find my dream, or my ikigai, or whatever, 2 hours every day. Perhaps somebody else takes full responsibility of a household task. Perhaps a change in a family routine with changing a time or something that's not working. Perhaps you stop one commitment that you've just been carrying because you've always just done it. You look at it and think, I'm not taking that with me anymore. Perhaps you finally start looking at your finances properly and see what I could do here. Perhaps you have the conversation that you have been trying to avoid, or you've been rehearsing in your head for months, that you really need to have. What I'm trying to say is the future cannot exist only in your imagination. It really needs to live somewhere in your actual week. You need time aside for that future to be able to exist in your actual week, It cannot exist only as a dream. I hope that makes sense. I've got one more stage. So, stage 4, choose the future. So far we've got see the default, we've got reclaim yourself, so the self, redesign the everyday, and stage 4 is choose the future. So when we say that, this is the place where awareness becomes ownership. You can understand your beliefs, you can look at them and see them. You can know what you want, so you've got it all figured out. You can write the most beautiful vision. You can feel inspired and, understanding of this vision. But eventually, a choice has to be made. So you've got to make a choice. You've got to make a conversation happen, or set a boundary if that's what is on there, or maybe send an invite for a meeting, or some sort of beginning has to be made, or maybe you need to let go of something, and this is really where we start waiting again. We tell ourselves we need more clarity, before these things happen, before we get to choose the future. We tell ourselves we need a plan, this big plan, we need more confidence, or more money, or more approval, or more certainty, or a guarantee that everything will work. And many times we already know the next step. We are not confused. We are just frightened of what the answer may require from us. So here is your 4th question. What is that courageous choice I already know is asking to be made? So when you think about you've done the see the default, so you've put one default over there, whatever you've seen straight away come in. Then you looked at reclaim yourself, and over there what you genuinely want between that, so that default, how we're gonna genuinely make it what we want. Then we redesigned the everyday, so you build a practicality in your week, so that we change that belief into whatever we want it to be. And now we've got to make that happen. So what is the courageous choice I already know is asking to be made? So what is the thing that I need to do? So this is not necessarily the biggest or most dramatic decision. It's really a very honest decision. So you really got to ask yourself, what action I will take in the next 72 hours to show myself that I'm no longer only thinking about it. You might be sending a message to somebody. You might be booking a conversation or asking for help. We're not great at asking for help, us women. Setting a boundary. Time boundaries especially. Researching a possibility of something, making an application. Maybe saying no. That's a big one. Or maybe saying yes to an opportunity. Or putting a date in the diary, or a repeat of those 2 hours for our dream. Or maybe sharing the idea, or taking one responsibility off your shoulders. You definitely don't need to know the entire road, trust me. But what you need to do is stop using the absence of the whole plan as a reason not to take the next honest step. Taking ownership of your whole life as a whole is not about controlling every outcome. It is about taking responsibility for the choices that are yours to make. Take responsibility for the choices that are yours to make. So see the default, reclaim the self, redesign the everyday, and choose the future. This is on repeat. And this is the process that I have been living. I had to see the beliefs that were running me. I really had to see that. And you constantly see others. The beliefs that because I had built something, I had to remain attached to it forever. That's a big one. That belief that changing direction would mean I have failed in whatever I'm leaving behind. The belief that being capable meant caring more and more and more and more and more and being useful to everybody. The belief that the life I truly wanted had to wait until everything else was completed and I completed all my roles. I had to ask, and many times and over a long period of time, who I was underneath the roles I had become so good at performing. And I had to really begin having honest conversation, theory conversation with myself about what I genuinely want. I had to have really honest conversation with Serge, my husband, about how we really want to live our lives and how we really want to raise our kids and what would generally create the best life for our family. We're just starting we're opening thoughts, ideas and situations that questions what we call normal, because we are trying to see how we can create what is best for us. There's an idea where, what if my role in leading our home and his role in leading and supporting the children, we're currently homeschooling, we've got family experience built in on every day, how will that fit in around everything else that we are doing? What if we stop measuring contribution only through job titles and individual wages? What if we created a family life built around living, learning, experiencing, everything done together? We don't have any answers. I personally don't have any answers. We have just begun asking better questions, and it's very interesting because in school we don't learn to ask better questions, do we? I mean, we would love to spend, a year learning together in different places, taking the kids abroad, not hopping like from one tourist destination, but like actually staying and learning different family life, understanding community, exploring food, self-sufficiency, education, and what happens really when life is designed around us as human beings rather than being productive. I think our biggest dream is to really build a self-sufficient community where families can experience another way of living. I don't know every detail yet. I don't know exactly where it'll be. I don't know how precisely how every part will work and what are the learnings and where life takes us, but I think what I'm trying to say, you don't need the whole road to reveal itself to you before taking your next step, as long as you're honest with yourself. And that, I would say, that is the part of your ownership on this last bit of the framework. So if you've been with me already and so far, it's really important that you take this framework and use it, because it will change the way you look at your life, and it will make you make sustainable changes if that's what you want to do. You do not need to work with me to begin questioning your life. You can literally go through each question, and every time a new default comes in, you work through and see how you can incorporate and make the changes for your life. You can take these 4 stages away tonight, and you can sit with the questions honestly. I will put a post out and I'll send all the questions again. You can make your first your first change after whatever came through today for you. And I know some women will be able to begin doing exactly that, and that's perfectly okay. But sometimes we can be really too close to our own life to see what is really running us. We recognize that something feels wrong, but we don't understand why we keep recreating it over and over again. We know what we want, but we struggle to separate our true desires from fear, from guilt, from responsibility, from everybody else's expectation. It's really a hard one to clear. And sometimes we already know the decision. And sometimes we only need a space where we can finally say it loud, look at it honestly, and just get a bit of support. So that's where my work comes in. This framework, this 4 steps that I've created for you, that I've shared with you, that I've been using, it's not me telling you what your life should look like. It is really me trying to help you see your whole life clearly. It helped me, so I kind of wanted to share it with you. It's about looking at parts of your life with the idea that we have a whole life, you know, our identity, our beliefs, our home, our family, our food, our work, the money, our relationship with money, the way we spend our time, the way we spend our energy, the way we speak and we use our voice. Everything is connected. And you will see that whatever you work through this framework, you will have a complete impact on your whole life. What is keeping the old life in place? What do you genuinely want? And what needs to change in your everyday life so that your next chapter does not remain just a beautiful idea, like I like to call it. So yeah, I am opening. Thank you for staying with me. I am opening a small number of private spaces for women who are ready to go through this process with me. There'll be a really discounted price. So, you know, this is for women whose lives really function on the outside, but they don't no longer feel completely fulfilled in their own right. Women who are capable, who are driven, motivated, who've achieved, who managed and carried a lot over time, who are not necessarily falling apart from the outside eye, but women who quietly know that something is asking to change. This is not about me telling you leave your job, even though I've done that too, or end your relationship, or move abroad, or start a business, or turn your life upside down. This is about me trying to help you hear your own answers clearly, understand what is stopping you from acting upon it, and support you as you begin creating change across your whole life. Sustainable change. This is part of the whole of you. It can come as, you know, your default can come as something that you keep repeating in your business. It can come as something you repeat. So it's whatever it comes, that's where we'll support. So before we finish, my mouth is really dry. I want you to write down these 4 questions. I'm just going to put them through again. So the first question was, which part of my life did I consciously choose, and which part did I simply become good at managing? So that was the first question. Second question, around the reclaim the self. If nobody needed me to remain the same, what would I finally admit that I want? That was your second question. Then the third question was around the redesign the everyday. If nobody needed me to remain the same, what would I finally admit that I won? So this is what I was saying to you about becoming nobody in your thought to try and find the answer. And choose your future, which was the fourth point that I shared with you. What in my everyday life is keeping the old version of me in place? And what, and what courageous choice do I already know is asking to be made? And then one final question, we're gonna finish as we started. What am I postponing until my real life begins? I really believe, and you probably realize as you get through life, that this is not a preparation for your life. This is our life, is happening now, and your life is happening whether you're in it or whether you're present or you're not. It happens while you're working. It happens while you're waiting, while you are planning your retirement, while you are holding everything together. And perhaps the next choice is where your life truly begins. Stay with that for a second. Anyway, should you recognize that you do not want to work through all this framework alone and through everything that's holding you back, please send me a private message and let's begin the conversation. And if not, I hope you've enjoyed the live today and you've got something really good out of it. And don't forget, remember that whole life, you know, we have got to stop like building little pieces of our lives. It's all about creating a whole life, and we've got to start taking ownership of our whole life. And this is what this is about, and this is the journey that I am on, that I am sharing with you today as well. So I am absolutely I'm absolutely thrilled that this live is over. Now I'm just gonna have to go and see how it went, because I can't see anything. It's yeah, all my technicalities are not working. So thank you very much for watching, and if there's anything that you can take out today alongside the framework that I've shared with you, this is really an invitation to stop postponing the conversations and the actions that you already know you need to have and you need to take. So thank you so much for being here with me today. So whether there was one person live, I don't even know how many people are online, there was one person live or many people watching this later, this conversation really mattered and it was important for me to share it with you. And I hope that one of these questions and ideas stays with you, and I hope it helps you see something you have been calling normal, and I hope it gives you permission to be honest with yourself and challenge and not accept everything that you have been given. And most importantly, I hope it reminds you that your life is not waiting somewhere in the future. It is here, it is now, and it belongs to you. So again, thank you, and have a beautiful evening. And now I'm going to try and see how I end the video.